the crazy part about the way we make albums now is everybody kind of does it from their own space. And there's kind of these insulating factors between you and the person recording their part. So when we were creating the album, Ricky Cage was a big part. He was like the center point that was really kind of steering the ship in a lot of ways. Stewart was intimately involved every day. I was intimately involved every day. But we weren't in the same room. You know, we're all kind of passing messages, passing mixes, passing performances back and forth, but we weren't like this in the room, you know? So we get the album done. It's an amazing experience. But there's something that changes in your relationship with anybody when you all of a sudden are in the same physical space with them. And there's no Zoom call in between you. There's no barriers. You're just two humans in a room. And for the first time, that happened after the Grammy nomination. And we were all in the same room. It was an amazing experience to actually get to know people in a different way. And Stewart Copeland, you know, he's a legend. He's one of the best ever at drumming, scoring, all the things that he's done. And of course, my story with Stewart Copeland goes all the way back to when Kevin and I were in high school. I was coming out of the Baptist school. And I was, you know, anti-rock and roll because that's what I was taught. And I wasn't allowed to listen to rock and roll, so I didn't even really know anything about it. But I remember Kevin coming to me and saying, "What is wrong with rock and roll?" And I said, "I'll tell you. Bring me a record. Bring me a record, and I'll tell you what's wrong with it, why it's evil." And he brought me an album. It was the Police Synchronicity album. And I put that thing on. I got my notebook out, and I told him exactly what was evil about it and what was wrong. And, you know, now I realize how incredibly wrong and misguided I was. But it was really interesting that was kind of the launch point of me being exposed to secular music and the evil rock and roll. And then to fast forward decades and to be standing in the same room with Stewart Copeland, nominated for a Grammy for an album we had worked on together. It's just surreal. When we were in the same physical space, there were no restrictions at all. You know, we were collaborators at that point on an album. We had all played our various roles on the album, and there were no major restrictions. But prior to that, getting everybody communicating during the recording process, you know, that's a lot more of a challenge. You don't just, you know, text everybody working on the album and have instant conversations. We're all living our different lives. We're all very busy. Stewart might be doing a concert. Ricky might be doing a session in India. So there were a lot more limitations there. And very early on, you don't really chat with somebody like Stewart Copeland just by picking up the phone and calling Stewart Copeland. You know, it's the people that know Stewart Copeland between you and Stewart. It's how many degrees between me and Stewart Copeland. Those are the people that you're communicating with. And then, you know, fast forward many more projects now, whereas Stewart barely knew who I was as we were starting to work on this project and moving ahead all the way to having Stewart Copeland across a room spot me with 200 people between us and have him look up and go, "Lonnie!" It's just another surreal moment, you know, where you're just like, how did I get here? I feel so fortunate. And at the end of the day, he's just a human, and he's no different than you and I in regards of just being a person. And it feels good to know that they are human, they're mortal, and at the same time, I still hold him in high regard. He's still that guy that he was when I was 15 and I thought he was evil.